Hi everyone, I'm Marguerite Joly. I'm a bold, rather short, and pale woman from France. Wait, sorry. This is actually how the majority of us would describe ourselves, but I don't want to do it that way, so let me start again. Hi, I'm Marguerite. I smile all the time and for the most random reasons. I'm an empath who would cry if I see an old couple crossing a street holding hands. I'm optimistic for others, but not for me. And I'm also very sarcastic, because I would rather laugh about something than cry, which is not always a good thing, I have to admit. Almost 5 years ago, in August 2017, I was on holiday with my family in Sicily. Everything was going fine. We were laughing 24 hours a day, playing cards, swimming in the beautiful sea. Everything was perfect, until that one day. We went to the beach, like every day. But on that day, there were big waves. And at first, we thought it was going to be fun, so we all went into the sea. But it wasn't fun. The current was brutal, and the waves were huge and violent. After maybe 10 minutes, we saw the danger and tried to get out of the water, but we couldn't. On that day, we could have drowned. If it was not for a stranger who saved our lives, one after the other, thanks to a lifeline. If I'm being honest, I have never been more scared for my life or for my family's. And while this event brought us even closer together, it also traumatized the 6 of us in different ways. I had nightmares every night of my mom screaming, of my little brother crying, of the waves taking our lives away from us. And we all tried to overcome the trauma, whether it was talking about it together, seeing a therapist, or just pretending that it was not that bad. I tried to overcome the trauma. But 3 months later, I started to lose my hair. And I knew it was because of that day in Sicily, but at first I didn't want to believe it. But day after day, I was losing more and more hair. And every time I would run my hand through my hair, big chunks of it would stay in my hand. I lost all my hair in 3 weeks, and it changed everything. I lost the image that I built. You know, before that, I was this young woman with brown hair, green eyes, who was good at school, loved horse riding, was playing the piano, had friends, a close relationship with her family. Everything was perfect, or at least I thought so at the time. But I started to lose that girl that I was, because I did not look like her anymore. And every time I would see myself in a mirror, I would see someone who wasn't me, this pale, bold girl. Every time I would see my reflection in any type of window, glass, mirror, shop window, was just a reminder that I was not that girl anymore. And I tried to find comfort in what my doctors were telling me, in the fact that in 6 months, my hair would grow back. With these pills, with this lotion, it'll work. I kept hope. I kept hope until the medication they were prescribing me gave me more side effects than my hair was growing back. These treatments might have worked on others, but they weren't working for me. And you know, when you're 16, you want to be seen. You want to be noticed, or at least it was my case before I lost my hair. I mean, I wanted people to validate my image. I wanted them to think that I was beautiful. I wanted them to love me. But it's not a bad thing. We all need reassurance sometimes, especially when we're transitioning and growing, changing, developing into the adult part of our lives. And while I didn't know who I was anymore, while I didn't recognize myself in any of the pictures I could find, I finally received those looks, those glances. I was noticed. I was looked at. But it was not because they loved me or because they were validating my image. It was because I was different. It was because, look, dude, I think she's dying. And I knew it. I knew it, and I didn't want those looks anymore. Every time I would go outside, I would see pity, disgust, fear, or even some kind of hatred sometimes in people's eyes. I would hear comments, whispered or yelled, about how I may be dying, or how I may be an extremist, or how I should hide my boldness. And it was not only strangers in the streets, it was also people I knew, people I cared about. Try to picture the scene. It was hard. I was so ashamed of my appearance. I felt like a monster. And everybody was telling me that with their eyes, everywhere I went. These looks, these glances, they destroyed me. They brought me to the lowest level. And my family and my loved ones, they tried to help me. They tried to support me by listening to me or by offering me a shoulder to cry on. But I still felt so lonely, like nobody could understand. And the fact that what I was going through was also hurting my loved ones was making it even worse. And every day, whenever I would wake up, I would see my reflection in the mirror in front of my bed. And it was a reminder that no, it was not a dream. I did lose my hair, and I lost the girl that I was. And every day was just another 24 hours to go through. Another 24 hours of glances, another 24 hours of comments, another 24 hours of fear, another 24 hours of torture, until I just couldn't. There was this one day I just couldn't. I didn't have the energy to be stared at anymore. I didn't have the strength to go outside. I couldn't go to school. On that day, I cried in my mom's arm and begged her to help me. On that day, I didn't go outside. I didn't go to school. I stayed home with my grandmother, and I cried. And you know what? I wasn't even relieved. I was outraged. It was so unfair. I was more than just this bold girl that everybody was looking at. So I just tried to find a solution. And I came up with 3 options. I could either hide from these glances, fight them, or accept them. But why should I hide? I mean, I wasn't guilty of anything. It was not my choice, nor my fault. How could I fight? I cannot control what people think, nor can I control what they look at. And I'm not going to yell at each and every one I cross paths with just because they looked at me. So then my only option was to accept it, or at least to try to accept the situation. I mean, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be able to live. And I didn't want this boldness to take my life away from me like it did on that day. I didn't want those glances, those looks, to win. So I then started to defocus, or at least to try and defocus from my appearance. I mean, I cannot change my bald head. I can wear a wig, that's true, and I tried. But if I'm being really honest, they're not really comfortable to wear. And also, when the weather is a little too warm, it gets, you sweat, so it gets really itchy. You should all try one day. Wear a wig for a whole day, and you'll get what I mean. But also, and most importantly about the wig, whenever I would wear a wig, I would feel like I was lying. Just try and imagine for 1 second. I'm wearing a wig, and I meet someone. Everything's going well, we get along, we laugh, we want to see each other again. When is the right time to tell them that I'm actually bald? When is the right time to tell them that the image that they have of me is actually fake? I'm going to save you some time. There's no right timing. So, I started to try to discover my personality, my true self. And I discovered my strength. I discovered that I am a very sensitive person, and that this enables me to understand people and their feelings. I discovered that I have strong analytical skills. And this is partly thanks to the fact that I became a bit paranoid that people would look at me, and to the fact that I would make sure that they were not. I discovered what resilience was, and that I was stronger than I thought I could ever be. I discovered that I never judge a book by its cover, and that I always look for a deeper level, a deeper connection whenever I meet someone new. I discovered that I can build something positive out of my alopecia and my experience of it, and that I can help people who go through the same struggle, or at least try and do so. And this is what I did when I created my association. I cannot change my bald head, but I can always improve myself. And so I stopped defining myself as the bald girl, and I started seeing myself as the girl who smiles all the time, the girl who is very sensitive but who thinks that it's a beautiful thing, the girl who sees colors when she hears music, the girl who writes poems and novels because she has so many stories to tell and to remember, the girl who doesn't care about what people look like because in a year, in 10 years, they won't look the same, and it's fine. The girl who would give her life for her family and her loved ones. I realized that you don't love someone for what they look like, you love someone for who they are. And I know I'm only 21, and I cannot pretend that every stare, every glance is not hurtful, because some of them are, and because some days I would be more vulnerable than others. But I still try to see the world through my eyes and not through what others think of me. And there's one thing that I know for sure, is who I want to become. I want to become a kind, positive, and optimistic person who tries to help others. And I also know that when I'll be old, I want to tell my grandkids about my achievements and about how, when I was 21, someone came up to me and told me that my story was worth being listened to. And I strongly believe that we all need to think about this once in a while. What will truly matter in the end? Thank you.